Hello and welcome back. So in the last video I made a really long time ago, I apologize, I was talking about how to take the Kibbe test as a whole and narrow down your Kibbe type to 1 or 2 subcategories. And then today we're going to talk about how do you figure out from those 2 subcategories what your best Kibbe type is. So I got a little bogged down with that. That's why this has taken so long, but I think this is going to work out. So let's just dive into it and we'll get to there in the end. So the first step in this process is to start collecting photos of your outfits. So before you leave for work, before you go out with friends, anytime you get dressed in the morning, snap a photo on your phone and just keep them. Do that for a couple weeks, as long as you can. And then once you have a good selection of photos together, put them all into one file, one folder, in one common place. And then you're gonna sort through them. So to sort the photos, I had a category of photos that I really loved. Photos where I thought I looked really good that day and it was a really good outfit. Then I had a category of photos that I was not a fan of. Photos where the outfit and the look were just not working and I really was not happy with it. And then the ones left were okay outfits. Outfits where I thought, yeah, that looks all right. I can see why I put that together. I can see why I did that. But it just was missing something. They just weren't quite amazing. And so those are the 3 categories that I ended up with. Once I had them sorted, I went to my favorite photos and started to look for similarities. Was there similarities in color? Was there similarities in shape? In the fit of the clothes? In the detail of the clothes? The patterns? Was there ruffles? Was there lace? Was there textures? What was happening in those photos that was similar? One thing I noticed was in the photos that I liked, there was a lot of similarities between them, a lot of common features happening. But in the photos that I didn't like, it was kind of all over. And when you think about it, that makes sense. In the photos that I liked, I had hit on all of the things that work for me. So they're gonna have very similar features. And in the photos that don't work, I hit on literally anything else, which could be a massive group of features to choose from. So if you find that, that's fine. We're gonna focus more on the things that work and not so much the things that don't work. So to give you a feel of what I'm talking about, I'm gonna put up my 4 favorite photos and quickly go through what I discovered about them. Now in all of these photos, I see a straight, loose silhouette. I don't see form-fitting clothing. I don't see a lot of curves, a lot of circles, a lot of roundness. What I see is a very H-shaped silhouette. I see long, clean lines, not a lot of details. There's no ruffles, there's no frills, there's no lace, very minimal texture. I see dark colors, I see long lines, and I see either solid colors or big patterns. Like I have that check top, but it is a big check. I also see either open necklines or kind of a high cowl type neckline, but I don't see any crew necks. And so now I've got my 3 least favorite outfits. There's a kind of mishmash of stuff going on in these, and some of them even look like they're similar in structure to my favorite outfits. But I hope you can see that these are just not as flattering on me as the other ones were. There's something that's not really working in these. So a couple of these photos are quite similar to my favorite photos, so I want to compare them side by side and just kind of break things down a little bit. So we have these 2 outfits. They're the same pair of shorts and they're the same sweater, but the overall look is very different. So one of the things that I noticed is the one on the right with the green tank, that tank doesn't have as clean of lines. That tank has some ruffling and some draping and some movement at the bottom, whereas on the left, that is a very clean silhouette for the tank and the shorts. They both still have that same outer silhouette with that sweater on top, but I just feel like on the right, that green tank with all that movement really kind of breaks up that clean look that I was getting from the other ones. And that seems to be making a very big difference actually. And then with these 2, again, it's a denim bottom with a tank and then a shirt or a sweater over top, but there's a big difference between these. One that really stands out is the tank underneath on the right is a much lighter color, And I don't even know if you can tell, but it's actually really thin little stripes. So it's a very, very tiny, delicate pattern in a light color. Whereas on the left, it is a straight black tank. And so that seems to make a really big difference. Those tanks are equally as form-fitting, but the light color and the pattern on the right really kind of draw attention to the shape underneath that tank. Whereas on the left, the black just gives you that black background and it's not drawing attention to the shapes underneath it. So that black one still gives you that clean straight line. Whereas on the right, that tank gives you all of the kind of curves that happen under that tank. Also, on the left, that plaid checkered top is much stiffer and more structured. The line down the center where it covers that black tank, it's straight on either side. It is nice, clean, straight lines. And then again, on the outside of my body, it is nice, clean, straight lines. The burgundy cardigan is a much less structured fabric. It billows a little more and moves a little more. And so we're losing that kind of structure. Also, I think because that light, finely patterned tank is busier and louder, it's taking over. And so that burgundy sweater doesn't look like it belongs, like it's kind of fading into the background. And so you're a little confused as to why it's there. It's not really like standing up. Whereas with the black tank and the checkered top, that checkered top is really making a presence. It's really filling its role. And that black tank kind of fades into the background. And so I think that's another key piece. Plus the dark wash denim just seems to suit me a lot better than that light wash denim. So next up, we have some of my okay looks. And right away, when I look at this, based on what I've learned from my favorite and my least favorite looks, I think all of the tops could be longer, and that could really help. And I think all of the tops with that really delicate, fine striping pattern is not working. So I think if I'm gonna wear that form-fitted base, I need a dark, solid color. And I think if I want to do a more kind of statement stripey piece, I need it to be looser fitting, less form fitting, and I need much bigger stripes, like chunky big stripes. And I think that could really help things out. Also with the one with the red shirt and the fox print, graphic tees seem to work for me, but I think it needs to take up the whole shirt or go further down on the shirt. On the far right, I have a bigger graphic and it looks better, but even still, it'd be good if it took up even more of the shirt. And also in all of these, I need longer pants and I need to stop wearing light colored socks with dark pants. Like I know it's there, this needs to stop, but this has been what it's been. So that can just go for all of them. So based on what I've seen from the looks that I really liked and the looks that I didn't like, and then talking through kind of some of the features of my okay looks that worked and how I can maybe improve upon them, that gives me a really good base for what works best for me. So I know, based on what I just looked at, that I look best in long lines. I look best in an H-shaped silhouette, so a wider straight silhouette. I look best in really clean lines, so not a lot of flowingness, not a lot of round curves or anything like that straight, clean look. I look best in darker colors and either solid colors or big details. So a big graphic or a big check or big stripe. Those fine little prints don't seem to be working very well. So now that you have your own personal do and don'ts list, this is where we try to compare that to the Kibbe list. So linked down below is a Google Doc that I did not create, but I found on the internet. So I will try to give credit to where I found it to down below, but it has all of the categories listed for all of the body types. So you can see soft, dramatic, natural, romantic, whichever, and read through the descriptors of what features work best with each body type. Now this is where I want to give a little bit of a disclaimer, because this is where I started to get a little bit lost. I'd been feeling so good that I had done this process and I had made my own personal kind of style rules and I had started to figure out what works and what doesn't work. And then I started reading through all of these Kibbe recommendations and I started to get a little bogged down. There's a lot of language in the Kibbe descriptions that doesn't speak clearly to me. And so even though I had started to develop a picture in my own head about what I wanted and what worked and what didn't, I was having a hard time then connecting my vision with what Kibbe was describing in his categories. And so I just want to caution you, if you are going through it to that step, and maybe you've narrowed it down to 2 or 3, and now you're going to look through the features of those 2 or 3, and it starts feeling really overwhelming, and it starts feeling really just unfathomable, and like you can't really piece together what he's talking about, then you can just stop, because you already have a set of do's and don'ts for you, which is really what the purpose is. And I think it's easy to get caught up in the purpose is to know my type, because we love to categorize things. We love to know our personality types. We love to know our body types, all these things. But remember, the goal is knowing what looks good on you. And if taking that to the level of what my Kibbe type is stopping you instead of helping you, then I'm giving you permission to give that up and to just say, no, you know what? I know my silhouette, I know my colors, I know my shapes, I know my lines, and that's okay for me. And I don't know if I can marry it to a type, but I don't need to, because I already have the knowledge that I need. However, if you really want to connect it to a Kibbe type, or if it's not overwhelming for you, then that would be your next step. To look through that Google Doc to the 2 or 3 types that you narrowed it down to, and read the features to see which one seems the most similar to the rules that you set out for yourself. For me, when I went in and did this, I started to notice that the 2 I had narrowed it down to didn't actually seem to fit. So I had narrowed myself down to a soft dramatic or a soft natural. But both of those have a lot more curved lines to them than this straight H-shaped silhouette that I've noticed that I like in my photos. So then that was a little bit confusing to me, because I didn't think that that's where it was headed. And so then you start to think, well, maybe I mistyped my photos. Maybe I didn't look at the photos right, but I don't want you to do that. And I had to stop myself from doing that. If you really loved the look in the photos, that is what matters, not what the test said and not what the description says. So I had to go through that kind of wider silhouette that I was leaning towards fits the natural category the most. So that's good. I kind of had thought I was in the natural category maybe. But that lack of waist emphasis and that lack of soft curves kind of moves me out of that soft natural category. So that now throws me into more the natural or the flamboyant natural category. And to be honest, at that point, I kind of left it there. As I said, as I went through this, I started to realize that I had the tools I needed without a defined Kibbe type. And I decided that that was enough for me. That's one of the reasons it took me so long to make this video. Was I was really bogged down by, well, I'm making a video about finding your Kibbe type. I have to settle on a Kibbe type. But I don't know if you need to. And I am not going to fret about which exact type I am, because I feel really confident now from what I've gone through, knowing what works for me in terms of style. So now that I have this knowledge, my plan moving forward is to keep unpacking my personal style. So your lines and your silhouette and kind of the Kibbe section of it is your body. But then there's your own personal style. How do you want to be viewed by the world? How do you want to portray yourself? And that is unique to you. That has nothing to do with your lines. It has nothing to do with your body shape. It has nothing to do with your height. It has nothing to do with any of that. It has to do with your personality and with your vibe and with your essence, your aura, right? And so in the next few videos, what I'd like to do is go through unpacking that for myself and then showing how I plan to apply that to my wardrobe. So this was a really good getting to know your lines kind of piece of this, but there's so many other sections of it that need to be considered when looking at style and wardrobe. If you're interested in following along with that process, then please hit subscribe below, tag along with me here. I promise it's going to be much more regular video uploads from this point forward. I feel like I'm in a really good place now and I have a really good plan for what I want to do moving forward. So So yeah, if this spoke to you, if you'd like to continue on down this process with me, hit subscribe, give this a thumbs up, comment down below kind of where you're at in the whole process and what's working and what's not working for you. And I will see you guys again soon. So thanks so much and have a great day.